Hello, and welcome to this lesson about central tendency and probability. Today's lesson is going to cover topics in the standard 3.1c and then in that study island topic that's called central tendency and probability. So if you're working in any of those areas, this is where you want to be for a little bit extra practice. So central tendency basically means mean, median, mode, and range. And so we're going to be going over briefly how to calculate those, but then also how if you add additional data in, how that changes your mean, median, mode, or range. So that's what today's lesson is going to be about. And as always, as we're going through the lesson, you should be taking notes. And if I go too fast, feel free to pause, catch up, and then when you're ready, press play to join us again. And then you can even press pause at the beginning of an example, see if you can figure out the answer, and then press play to check yourself. And that way you can get a gauge of how much more practice you might need. And you can fast forward and rewind, play, watch something as many times as you need to. Those are all great ways to take full advantage of these videos. So I'm excited that you're here today, but before we get to some examples, let's go ahead and start with some notes. So these notes are going to be on how to calculate each of the measures of central tendency. Our first one is mean, and that's sometimes called the average. We're going to add up all the numbers and divide by the number of data values. The next one is median. The median is the middle number when numbers are in order. So you're going to take the mean of the two middle values if there is an even number of data values. Then the mode is the number that occurs the most often. And the range is the distance between the lowest and highest value of a data set. So you're going to be taking high minus the low number. So the high number minus the low number. So this question here asks, what is the mean of the number set below? So to calculate the mean or the average, I add up all the numbers and divide by the number of values. So I'm going to add 30 plus 39 plus 15 plus 33 plus 44 plus 28 plus 36 plus 11 plus 20 plus 23. And when I add those all up, that's going to give me 279. Then I'm going to divide, and I'm going to count up how many numbers I was given. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I was given 10 numbers, so I divide by 10. And 279 divided by 10 is 27.9. So that's my mean. So my answer here is D. Okay, this question here asks, what is the median of the number set below? So if I'm calculating the median, my first step is to put these numbers in order. So my first number is going to be 27. And to keep those all in order, I'm going to cross them off as I go. And I also like to leave space in between my numbers so that if I need to go back and fill one in case I forget one, then I have room to do so. So I keep going. I have 31, 39, 46, 49. The next one's 54. Next I have 56, and then 60. And then I have 66, and then last is 69. And then I always like to triple check, because if you miss one number, all of your answers are going to be wrong. And it's just such a simple problem that you always want to make sure you get it right. So I'm going to count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers written down. And in my original, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers. So I know I got them all. So that's just an easy, quick check that you definitely want to do to help you make sure you get the right answer. Now the median is going to be the middle number. So that the middle of these numbers is right there. I have 5 on the bottom and 5 on top. So since I don't have an exact middle number, since I have an even number of values, I'm going to have to take the mean of those two middle numbers of 49 and 54. So 49 plus 54 is 103, and then 103 divided by 2 is 51 and a half. Now, sometimes you can actually think about what's the exact middle number between 49 and 54. Here, it's 51 and a half. You can calculate it or you can think it through. So my answer here is going to be B. Here's our next example. Looking at the last 24 weeks of winning lottery numbers, Scott discovered that lottery ball numbers 54 was pulled 15 times. The number 25 was pulled 10 times, the number 11 was pulled 11 times, and number 43 was pulled 6 times. The mode of the data is represented by which lottery ball number? So remember, mode is the one that occurs most often, mode most. So which one of these occurs the most often? Well, 54 was 15, 25 happened 10 times, 11 happened 11 times, 43 happened 6 times. 15 times is the one that happened the most. So 54 was that ball. So my answer is going to be B. This example says Shane was shopping for a computer. He found a variety of prices. The lowest price was $495, and the range of prices was $1,266. What was the most expensive computer he found? Remember, the range is the difference between the highest and the lowest price. So that means if our lowest price was $495, then to get to the highest price, we just need to add the range back on. So when you add 495 plus 1,266, you're going to get 1,761. So that was the highest price, which is letter A. Now this is a common problem that you see in EOI reviews. And it says the mean of 8 numbers is 54 and 75 hundredths. What would be the new mean by B if the numbers 104 and 115 are added to the data set? So to solve this problem, we have to understand really well how mean is calculated. So to get this mean of the 8 numbers, that is 54.75, that means you take the sum of all your data set and divide it by those 8 values and get 54.75. So this question is asking if you take that sum and add 104 plus 114, and now I went from 8 numbers to 10 values, so I'm going to be dividing by 10. What does that new mean? That's what this question is asking. So in order to solve that question, I have to know what that sum is. So that means I'm going to have to solve this equation up here to find the sum. Well, instead of having the word sum here, I could cross that out and put an X. So that's my new problem there. And now I'm just solving for X. And you can look at this one 2 ways. You can look at it as a proportion. So I could put a 1 underneath here and cross multiply. Or you can multiply both sides by 8. I find that most students prefer the proportion way, so that's how I'm going to do it. But you can do it either way. You'll get the right answer either way. It's your choice. So if I take x times 1, that's going to give me x equals, and then if I cross multiply 8 times 54.75, that's going to give me 438. So that means here, my sum, I can cross that out and write in its place 438. And then I can go ahead and calculate the new mean. So 438 plus the 104 plus the 114 is 656. And then I'm going to still divide that by 10. And when I do that, I get 65.6. Which is my answer. And that's going to be letter A. So here, Ms. Benson wrote a list of numbers on the chalkboard: 51, 51, 57, 56, 51, 55, and 54. She then asked one student to come up and write one more number on the chalkboard. By how much did the median change if the student wrote a 57? So median is your middle number. So I'm going to have to calculate the median first of my original number. So that means I'm going to have to put these 7 numbers in order. When I do that, it looks like this. So just to double check I didn't miss one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in my original, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in my listed out here. So I'm going to go ahead and find my middle number, and that middle number here is 54. So that 54, I have 3 below and 3 above. So my original median is 54. But if I add another 57 to this data set, I'm going to have to calculate a new median. Now that median's going to be here, because now I have 8 numbers, so this puts it at 8, 4 below and 4 above. Now I have a new median. So you can think about it, what's the exact middle number between 54 and 55? Well, some people can do that in their head. Other people, you have to actually calculate the mean of those two numbers. You have 54 plus 55 divided by 2. 54 plus 55 is 109. And you divide that by 2 and you get 54.5. Which is my second median. So how much difference is there between this first median and this second median? Well, it's off by a half. So my answer is going to be C, 0.5.